So the millennial kingdom already happened. I think it, and I'm going to give it an I'm going to give an argument here, a personal one somewhat, for why, and it has nothing to do with lost civilizations or any of that. Because just because the millennial kingdom, it says that God will reign. So this is the millennial kingdom, okay? This is the open the books time, heaven on earth. So I'm saying this happened already. Because people forget that the 1,000 years may not mean 1,000 years. It could, because the 1,000 years is like one day to God. But here's my argument for it. When God comes to reign in the millennial kingdom, he comes as the second coming by ripping the firmament. The firmament rips. Okay? The expanse rips. We would have only been able to go to the moon if he already had a second coming. First of all, because he didn't give us dominion over the sky. He didn't. Not to do anything. He gave us dominion of the land. But during the millennial kingdom, maybe he allowed it, I mean, because I don't want to confuse people. Because it says that the sky rips open, right? Because to God, it's like, it's described sort of as a canopy. But it's the firmament acts as a barrier with clear orientation, waters under it, earth, seas, atmospheres versus waters above it, the heavenly reservoir. Birds fly across the face or below the firmament, while the sun, moon, and stars are set in it, embedded in it. How did we go to the moon? They've been trying to convince everybody we didn't go to the moon, remember? They spent the last, 10 years coming up with all this footage. See, it was made up. We never went to the moon. No, we could have went to the moon if the millennial kingdom already happened. That's the only way we would be able to go to the moon. But they want to convince you it was all fake. And the reason I'm going to tell you it wasn't fake is because my uncle made the box that the moon rocks came back in. I mean, I was little. I think it was for the first time they went. In the early 60s or something. He did. He had a manufacturing company, a magnetic shield manufacturing. And this is why I'm saying this, because it kind of all makes sense to me now. Because, when everybody was fighting about we didn't go to the moon, I kept trying to look up the pictures that I remember as a kid of my uncle with the moon rock box. Because even though he gave, he built it for NASA, okay, he had a replica made to put in his waiting room, like encased. I mean, he had it there for a while, but he didn't have a lot of, high travel in, because it was just a manufacturing plant. But he was very proud of it, okay? I remember it as a little girl. As time went on, like when I lived with him in high school, but at one time to him it was a big deal. Why would he do that? Just to lie? I don't think he would do that. Plus, I know that NASA or the government had manufacturing jobs with him because he made magnetic shields. Yet when I went to look up about, who made the box that the moon rocks came back in, this was like a year ago, it was giving me all these different names, and I'm like, no, ChatGPT, this is the company. Oh yeah, you're right, and this is their location. So you're trying to deceive people. What goes on during the short season of the beast? Deceiving. You see what I'm saying? This is why I can't even find, because before my uncle, my grandfather was involved in mica mining, and I can't even find his name. It's like crazy, okay? It's crazy. But it would make sense. Because God allows the beast to try to deceive. It's all a test. The world's a stage. We're in the short season. Because there's no way I believe, first of all, There's no reason, if you're just going to fake the moon landing, that you'd have some manufacturing company in the Midwest make it. And I don't believe my uncle would lie about something like that. I just don't. He's very proud of it. I mean, to make a replica of it, just what? For when he really didn't have a lot of high traffic into his waiting room? No, he did. My whole family knows it. I mean, I was little, but why would I make that up, okay? So my point is, if we were able to go to the moon and the moon was embedded in the firmament, then it means that Jesus already had his second coming, because the sky would have been ripped open, allowing us access to travel to the moon. See what I'm saying? And yet, then when I look back at all of these people deceiving everyone, we didn't go to the moon, we didn't go to the moon. Why did they stop going to the moon? People have asked that. Why did we stop? Well, I'll tell you why we stopped. They likely stopped because they figured that people would figure it out. Like people that are, very knowledgeable of the Bible would have been like, wait, how are we able to travel to the moon? Because it's embedded in the firmament. And the firmament, no, it's a structure. That's why in like Psalms and certain, books, it's like it's described as a canopy or a tent. Now, people say that's just poetry, but it says in Revelations that when God comes back, the sky rips. Like the veil rips. So then if he came, he reigned. And again, he could have reigned for 50 years. He could have reigned for 100 years. If one day is 1,000 years to God, it doesn't mean that a full 1,000 years. But people have tried to go looking for lost civilizations. I don't even think you have to do that. But because it says everything. First of all, if we don't have dominion over it, God wouldn't have just let us do what we want. He didn't give dominion over this. He gave dominion of the land. The only way we would have been able to go to the moon is if he had already reigned and the sky tore open where we have access to it. Yep. So that's the simple answer to that, why they've been trying to cover up my uncle's company and him being involved. This just explains everything, because the beast is trying to deceive everyone. It's the last test. That's what it is. Which means, since once God lets the beast loose again to try to deceive people, it's the last test. It doesn't say where God goes. God's in human form, so he's among the people. Watching, hiding in plain sight, probably being a mirror. Yep. So this is what's to expect. Open the books. It would be heaven on earth. We're past the millennial kingdom. For the simple fact that we went to the moon. I mean, if somebody wants to literally say we didn't, then that means my uncle was a liar. And I mean, I thought, did he lie for business? But I don't think he did. That's a pretty big lie. When somebody could have, no, I don't know. Because he had other contracts, like with the space shuttle and stuff. Not for anything big, just for magnetic stuff. So, if we were able to go to the moon, then the firmament was already split open. Jesus already had his reign. And we are all currently under the deceptive one system. And you have a whole bunch of people waiting for the beast, waiting for all of that being already happened. All of it. You're in the short season of the beast, which only comes after God ends the millennial reign and then lets the beast out one more time. Let's see it doesn't say where God goes. Well, I think it would only make sense since he was here on earth. He's just like everyday person. Probably a very powerful person. And we'll reveal that at some time, because everybody's been being deceived. We're not waiting for the millennial kingdom. It's heaven on earth. We're coming.